Hi, I'm Stuart from HiFi PiG. We're here at the HiFi Show in Bristol with PMC, Ollie and Mr. White. We're here to talk, in this instance, about the Prophecy range of speakers, which there are 5 in the range, which 3 floor standers.
I'll run through it. So we've got 3 floor standers and 1 bookshelf. So the bookshelf is the Prophecy 1. The smallest floor stander is a 2-way design, is the Prophecy 5. And then we've got the Prophecy 7 and 9, both 3-way designs. Prophecy 9 is like the flagship of the range.
And where do they fit in the range of PMC speakers? You've got the Prodigy range over there that is the entry level.
Prodigy 1 and 5 entry level models, and these sit as the next level up from there.
I am kind of head of product design at PMC, so I was leading the project. We has had another engineer on it, Tom Rogers, who's also at the show here. And yeah, it's a new development in terms of the way it looks, the way it functions. It's from the ground up, a complete redesign of our mid-range product. So of course, mainly transmission line base loading, but we've got a new Laminair X, which is the big, very heavy metal plinth at the bottom.
So how does that differ from the usual
So
PMC?
on the 25 series and the 25i series, we had Laminair, which was a piece inserted into the vent, which basically smooths the airflow in and out of the cabinet, reduces the turbulence. And the new Laminair X is essentially a supercharged version of that, where we've extended the fins the whole depth of the cabinet. So the Laminair now is about this long. And what's the effects sonically of that? So it's, when you're playing the speaker, you can play it at a much higher level without introducing turbulence in the vent. So it's effectively reducing your noise floor of the bass output. Because
you guys are, obviously, you're in every studio in the world. How important is that studio in the home thing for you guys?
I mean, it kind of comes naturally to us. It's the way we divide up the business is 50-50 between the studio and the home. And we kind of use different technologies developed for both the studio. We use those in the home. I mean, the important thing is that even though every speaker we make, we're just trying to make something really neutral and very accurate, which is great for the studio as well as at home. The fact of the matter is that a lot of music is made using PMC speakers in the studio. There was
an interview with Elton John very recently where he was interviewed by whoever it was, and there were PMC speakers in the background.
I think, so Elton's got a pair of white Fact 8s, and we find that a lot of artists that have been using PMCs in the studios would like them at home, so we see that a lot.
So tell us about these speakers. Exactly how do these fit into the whole range? What's the score with them?
Yeah, so as I said, there's 5 models. The main thing we focused on, we really wanted to elevate the materials used in the product, so that's why we've got a nice solid lump of aluminium on the bottom of the speaker, which, as well as giving the Laminair improvement that I've already run over, it also makes it really solid grounding for the speaker, makes it very, very stable. We've also added waveguides on the tweeters, which is gives them a really kind of pin sharp central image focus. You know, if you've got listening to a track with some vocals right in the center, you get a real sense of kind of the depth of 3D depth of the soundstage. And the other thing is some improvements to the crossovers to increase the amount of detail you're getting through the mid and tweeter by using air core inductors on the crossover circuits.
So how much are these a pair?
The Prophecy 5s there are 4575, so that's
so it's not silly money at all.
No, not at all. Yeah.
Which I really like that about PMC. You guys have got that heritage of the studio, so presumably you could charge a lot of money, but you've sort of gone, we can bring that technology to the home for not a lot of money.
We've gone heavy on the technology. We wanted to create a range of speakers which are quite slim and small for their size.
Small box.
Exactly, big sound from a small box.
So can you tell us a bit, you mentioned technology, can you tell us a bit more about the technology?
So there's a lot of work going into the transmission line with every speaker we do. But even more so on these, something we haven't expanded on too much so far is the fact that the transmission lines in these are quite a bit more complicated. They use a lot more chambers to take out resonances from the transmission line. And that's something we've been able to do with some really powerful simulation software that we are starting to integrate into our development process.
So how much of the development process that you mentioned is based on sound, and how much is based on technology and the thought process? Where does that sound and technology merge?
The two have to always be in balance, I think.
Okay.
There's a lot of technical stuff you can do in isolation in terms of making sure the speaker measures really well. But ultimately it's how it sounds. That's what the customer is going to do. This customer doesn't sit at home measuring the speaker, they sit at home listening to it. So we'll generally start off on the more kind of technological side, get us to a certain point where we're happy that all of the component parts going into that speaker are of very high quality, and then put them together and shift the balance more towards listening. And,
okay. It's like it's a strong iterative process of prototype something, measure it, listen, adjust.
So how long does that process take from idea to getting prophecy to market?
A fair few years. How long would you say
I
the
think
team have been working on
this
these?
particular project is just shy of 3 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we've definitely have some that have been quite a lot longer than that.
Yeah, so the next range up from these would be the Fact.
And down is the
Prodigy.
Prodigy, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. And following the same naming convention as the
Which
Prodigy.
is?
Well, which is, as ever, it's a mystery to even some people that work at PMC how we name our products. But so Prodigy 1 is the small Prodigy bookshelf. Prodigy 5 is the small Prodigy floor stander. Going to Prophecy. Prophecy 1 is the bookshelf.
Okay.
Prophecy 5 is the small floor stander.
How would you describe the sound as the guy that has designed these speakers?
Definitely the thing that stands out for me is the absolute focus. You listen to it, close your eyes, and it's like the person is there. It's not like listening to a 2D plane of sound. It's real, as if they're in the room. It's coming out in every direction.
So the whole soundstage thing is...
Yes, yeah. That's I think to me, as well as obviously the low end performance is better than the previous range, but that's kind of expected. The really amazing thing, when we finally finished the products and we sat down and listened to them for an extended period, is the soundstage improvement is incredible.
Improvement on what?
On the previous.
On the Prodigy, or...
We're comparing it to a previous series, which would be the Passive 25i.
Okay. So will these be
which
active
are
as well?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Should they be?
I think they should be, yeah. I love the whole... Last year, I think it was last year that we... You guys introduced the active...
Yeah.
Prodigy?
It was the Active 25s.
Yeah, and we were just blown away by the whole concept of that.
Yep.
So have these... The Active 25s, they had... You knew you were going to do that all along because you had it built in on the back and all the rest of it.
Sure.
Are these similar?
There's similar considerations that have been made. We're aware that we might want to go down that avenue in the future. We're seeing how we go with 25i Active first, and then, it could find its way into these.
Away from the prophecies, what do you see as being the advantages of being active loudspeakers?
As in going back to the 25s?
Yeah.
Kind of any speaker which is active has quite a sizable advantage. Having the crossover, using the kind of components that you use for an active crossover, you have much better control over the accuracy with how the crossover slopes actually work. You can never really make them absolutely perfect with passive crossovers due to kind of like the theory involved with designing around sort of big inductors and capacitors. So they're definitely more accurate. And then the other big advantage for me is having the power amplifiers directly connected to the drive units rather than going through a sort of a sluggy, lossy crossover. Is the control over the low frequency driver is so much better. You hear it as like really super tight bass.
So when can we expect actives of these then?
TBC.
You are not just PMC loudspeakers, you do PMC distribution as well, yeah?
We're not just loudspeakers, we also do electronics. We've got the PMC core amplifier powering our prophecies at the show this year, but yes, we do distribution as well. And we have a relatively new partner. We're now distributing Michelle turntables throughout the UK, and yeah, we're very excited to be sharing the room with them this year. We're showing off their new products, which is a phono stage and power supply,
which we're going to talk about in the next video. So let's go there.